This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
We are live. It's Wednesday, the 9th of October. Kevin Trudeau here. Everything they don't want you to know about. It's wild, man. I'm going to be leaving here in a few minutes because I have a meeting with the Federal Trade Commission and my lawyers. I think the Federal Trade Commission is going to be there. But it's an urgent meeting, and I want to give you a legal update. I am back in court on the 18th of this month. That's an important date. That's a Friday, 18th. However, on the 14th of this month, on the 14th, which is very soon, right? Very soon, it's like next week. The 14th is the date. We have to have everything submitted to the judge. He's going to review it, and then we have a hearing on the 18th. And one of the things I want to be able to show that judge, and it is working. I can't tell you anything more because I've been sworn to secrecy because the communications and the meetings I'm having with my lawyers and the Federal Trade Commission and the government and the courts are all private. They are off the record. They are confidential, and I can't reveal what's going on. All I can tell you is we are at this precipice, at this point in time where it can go one way or the other. It's leaning in my direction. And that is pretty much we get this wrapped up. We get my case wrapped up and pretty much resolved. It's not 100% over, but it's pretty much resolved in an amicable, reasonable way because we are working cooperatively with the government. There's a cooperation now and a spirit of cooperation that's happening that's never happened in 25 years. The level of cooperation and understanding and reasonableness that the Federal Trade Commission and we are offering each other is unprecedented, and that is really, really good. And the reason that that has occurred is because so many of you have made contributions to the Kevin Trudeau fan club, which effectively go to the government. Many of you have become partners in the Kevin Trudeau fan club, and that revenue effectively goes to the government. Those things have made virtually all the difference. And many of you have gone to KevinTrudeauFanClub.com and made contributions. Many of you have become partners for the first time. Welcome all new partners. And many of you who are partners increased your partnership level. That's making all the difference. Also, any one of you who's purchasing the money processes or the relationship processes, it's making all the difference because I can show them, here's the revenue which you're going to be getting. And it is massively positive. Some of you have just got the email for the 3 seminars I'm doing in December on communication, copywriting, and online marketing. And there was one fellow who wrote in who said, I did the 3 things Kevin said, and I made over $2 million in 24 months. So that, if you purchase that, that's helping. So all I can tell you is it can go one way or the other. One way is the government is being cooperative and saying, let's settle this. Let's come up with a very reasonable, workable payment plan that will go forward. Let's come up with a reasonable ending to this. And that's where we're headed. However, it can also go the other way. And the other way is they said, or we can get 30 lawyers, Mr. Trudeau, to go after you full on. And we will get you back in prison. We'll charge you with more things, and we'll make your life miserable for the rest of your natural existence. It's right at that precipice. Your contributions and support, it's making all the difference. So thank you very much. And I can tell you, we're right there. I probably won't give you any updates next week because I can't. My lips are sealed. So I'm just going to encourage you to go to KevinTrudeauFanClub.com. If you can make a contribution of any amount, the number of people that make a contribution is a number that I want to show them. The amount of money that people have made contributions, I want to show them that because they're ultimately going to get it. The number of people that signed up as partners, brand new, that makes a big difference. And the number of you who've upgraded, those numbers are all tipping the scale in our favor. The number of people that are purchasing money processes or relationship processes or the 3 seminars, that's making a huge difference. So we're putting those emails up on the screen. You just send an email to relationship processes. We'll send you information. You can send an email to moneyprocesses@kevintrudeau.com. We'll send you information on that. It's making all the difference. It's going to keep this show on the air. It's going to keep the fan club going. It's going to keep the monthly Zooms going for partners in the fan club. It's going to keep the books coming out. This is significant because the government wants to prohibit me from writing and selling books on TV infomercials and marketing those books, thus getting you to read books which contain information they don't want you to know about. But it's tipping in our favor right now. And after the 18th, after that court appearance, I will give you an update on the Monday following the 18th. So take advantage of that. Today's show is going to be great. We're going to talk about the dark side of the globalist agenda and the 10 foods you should never eat. And this is from a previously recorded episode on this show. The reason why I'm showing this, a previous episode, is many of you are brand new to this show and you don't know all of the episodes that I did live and that now are recorded for the last year. They are spectacular. If you want to binge watch anything, you binge watch the Kevin Trudeau Show because you're going to get information that they don't want you to know about that's going to make you feel good, make you inspired, motivate you, encourage you. It's going to support you and give you tools and strategies that you can apply to make your life better by pulling back the curtain of the things that they don't want you to know about. When you listen to this, you're going to understand why the government wants to censor me. But we're winning. Man, we are winning, and that's because of your support. So take a look at this previously recorded episodes of the Kevin Trudeau Show with the dark side of the globalist agenda, which will open up your eyes to some things, and the 10 foods you should never eat. Enjoy this.
Welcome, everybody from around the world. We have viewers in over 100 countries. Thanks for joining me. I'm Kevin Trudeau, #1 New York Times bestselling author. That's a new plaque. That's a new plaque. Glad to have you here. We have a fantastic show today. Buckle up. If you have some paper, take some notes. The first one goes in the Kevin Was Right file. It's everything they don't want you to know about, but I'm sharing it with you. For 25 years, I have been saying on various radio shows, television shows, whether it was on the Tonight Show, whether it was on the Today Show on NBC with Matt Lauer, or CNN, Larry King, or Bill O'Reilly on Fox News, or any of the shows that I've been featured on or talked about, or Howard Stern or whatever, I have been saying, and also in all my books, that the governments around the world, not just the U.S. government, the governments around the world, hate free speech. They hate people expressing opinions and ideas that don't go along with the global elite line. And I'm going to be sharing with you. Last week, we talked about the global elitist plan, and some of you got mad. They go, it sounds nice. It sounds good. I say, yeah, but next week, which is now, I'm going to show you how they're doing it, and it ain't so good. But when you're exposed to it, now you get empowered, and that's the whole key. But governments around the world, they don't like free speech. That's why they hate the internet. They hate these organizations such as YouTube and Rumble and X and all those social media platforms. That's why government is cracking down. Governments around the world are cracking down and censoring the free flow of information. In the United States, this just came out, Supreme Court of the United States, Supreme Court. And again, this goes in the Kevin Was Right file, that I've been saying this for decades, and everyone rolled their eyes. That can't be true. The Supreme Court justice, one of the justices, and this justice is a liberal Democrat left-wing judge, not a conservative, red, right-wing Republican judge. It's an ultra-liberal Democrat left-wing judge. This is what this judge said. It says, Justice Jackson ripped for worrying about the First Amendment, hamstringing government. And this article goes on to talk about how the justice, when questioned during a case, that she's very disturbed. She's very disturbed. Oh, I'm so disturbed. That pesky First Amendment, that right of free speech. I'm very disturbed about that First Amendment. This is a United States Supreme Court justice saying that she's disturbed that we have a First Amendment right of free speech. She's disturbed because free speech, that First Amendment, the right that people have to free speech, is stopping government from shutting people off and censoring people 100% at their will. That's what she effectively said. This is an article here. She's very, very upset about this. Oh, I'm so upset. I'm very upset. She says, the First Amendment is hamstringing the federal government. It's hamstringing. It's stopping the federal government from allowing them to censor people. That pesky First Amendment. The government hates the free flow of information. Kevin was right, Bio. All right, so the globalist plan last week. I don't know how long I'll be on this show. I don't know how long before they shut it down. Because I'm revealing stuff that they don't want you to know. And the reason the government does this, the government comes in and says, it's misinformation. It's misinformation. Misinformation. The government's definition of misinformation is anything said that they don't agree with is misinformation. That's misinformation? Really? Now think about this. What about an opinion? Under that definition of misinformation, if I was a restaurant critic and I went in and said, this restaurant food is not very good, they could say, Trudeau is giving out misinformation. That restaurant, in fact, serves delicious food. It's misinformation. We had fact checkers. They went in and they said, Trudeau's lying. That restaurant does serve good food. McDonald's does serve good, delicious, wonderful food. The fact that Trudeau said that McDonald's doesn't serve very good food is a lie and misinformation, and we need to stop him because we had fact checkers. Are you with me? That's what the government does. So last week we talked about the globalist plan, and some people got really upset with me because I explained what the real globalist plan is. And again, hold on. No. Unlike, it doesn't say radio host or podcast host or wannabe or guesser or conspiracy theorist or alarmist. It says former insider. These things are discussed at the Bilderberg Group. They're discussed in Bohemian Grove. They're discussed at Skull and Bones Island in the secret societies. Being there and being part of it, and being part of these organizations and others, the Brotherhood, this is not a theory that I'm sharing with you. This is what it is. The globalist plan sounds good on the surface. I mentioned last week. Number one, the globalists say we have a planet and we have people living on dirt. We have people with no electricity, no running water, no access to health care. They're dying of disease when they should be, if they had a hospital nearby, they'd be fine. They break a leg and they die because of infection. If they had a hospital nearby, they die. But mostly they're dying from starvation. There's malnutrition everywhere around the world. Like 1 billion people go to bed hungry. They said, stop people from starving. So the people are they're no longer hungry, but they're fed. How can we stop hunger and starvation? And how can we eliminate or dramatically reduce poverty around the world? That sounds pretty good. Let's stop all wars. And I mentioned last week about why certainly wars are an amazingly profitable business for the elites and those people who are involved in the military-industrial complex, or the industrial-military complex, as it's called. Every time there's a war, ammunition has to be purchased. It's purchased by the governments, which comes out of your taxpayer dollars. And these corporations make tons of money. The people who own the stock value goes up, make tons of money. And then when the wars are done in that area, Halliburton and these various corporations, Carlyle Group, that are owned by the Bushes and all the privileged elite, they go in and rebuild it, and they make billions of dollars, again, paid for by your taxpayer dollars. Your money goes to these companies, and then the stock goes up, the companies make profit, dividends go out, and the global elitists make a fortune on wars. Nobody denies that. But from a bigger perspective, it'd be better if there were no wars. I'll tell you why in a minute. And then I said the globalist plan is really effectively to have 3 classes. Number 1, slaves. But people not in poverty, people that are actually earning a decent living, they have electricity, they have running water, they have indoor toilets, they're earning decent, they buy clothes, they're consumers. The globalist plan is to increase the number of consumers around the world dramatically, because that will make them even richer. But keep that class, the majority class, dumb. Keep them as slaves effectively. The next one is the merchants, people that are well-to-do, people that are in business, making money, doing well. Small group of people, but they're all doing well. Those who hustle, put forth time and effort, start businesses, invest. Okay, that's another group. That's the second group, the second class of people. And the third class, the very top, is the privileged elite class, the ruling class. These are the people who are behind the scenes. They're not the politicians. They're not elected. They're behind the scenes. They're non-elected people that you don't even know their names. You don't know their faces. And they control everything. And they and their families live like kings times 100. They rule and control everything. And that's the globalist plan. That sounds pretty good when you think no wars, no starvation, no poverty. Okay. But how are they going to do it? And by the way, this goes against the mainstream conspiracy theory that you've heard for 30, 40, 50 years, that the globalists want to depopulate the earth. Because you've heard on tape, some of these elitists say we have as many as 1 billion useless eaters that we have to eliminate from the planet. So depopulation has always been touted as something that the privileged elite want to do. They want to depopulate. And when COVID came out, they said, see, they're going to wipe out 1 billion people. Well, it didn't happen. For 50 years and longer, by the way, this goes back to the 20s, there have been conspiracy theorists who have been saying that the global elites want to depopulate the planet. Every single year that we've been keeping records, every single year, let's just say since 1900, every single year, the population has increased in number. So if the globalists want to depopulate the planet, when is it going to start? Every single year, the population on planet Earth has gone up. So when does the depopulation start? And so I'm going to reveal something that you've never heard before. But this is what has gone on when I was in the Bilderberg group. The plan is not to eliminate 1 billion people from the planet and depopulate the planet. The plan is to eliminate useless eaters. In other words, when that privileged elite made that statement, which is on tape. We need to eliminate 1 billion worthless eaters on the planet. That's true. Because a useless eater is not earning money and they're not a consumer. The key is not depopulating the planet. The key is eliminating the useless eaters and actually increasing the number of consumers. In other words, take people out of poverty, raise their level, raise their economic standard so that they're earning enough money, they no longer become a useless eater. That's how you eliminate useless eaters. You don't kill them off. Clearly, that's one option, but it's never been done. But you don't kill them off. What you do is you raise their economic standards so they become consumers. The globalist plan is to eliminate useless eaters. Yes, either by killing them off, but that doesn't help. It does in one respect because you get rid of the useless eaters, according to the globalists. And this is not me. But more importantly than eliminating that group is to increase the number of consumers. This is why China now is the manufacturing capital of the world. And this is why the standard of living in England and all throughout Europe and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America has been declining since the Second World War. It peaked in the 60s and early 70s after the Second World War for America, for example, because we were the dominant manufacturer. Before the Second World War, actually before the First World War, the dominant manufacturer in the world was England. That's why the sun never set on the British Empire. They were the most powerful nation in the world because they were the number one manufacturing nation in the world. Manufacturing is the key. The globalists moved manufacturing to China. I remember when Ross Perot was running for president as an independent third party against Bill Clinton and Bush. They were talking about NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. And Ross Perot, who's a businessman, who was a billionaire, said, if you pass NAFTA, there's going to be a great sucking sound. Jobs and manufacturing are going to leave America and go to Canada and Mexico. And every economist and all the eggheads on CNN and NBC and ABC and CBS and the BBC and all the news organizations around the world, you know, they went to Columbia, they went to Yale, they went to Harvard, they live in a bubble in New York or Washington, D.C. or L.A., and they look at you through the camera and you can see it. They're thinking, you know, you are so dumb. I'm so much smarter than you. That's what they're saying to you. And they go, this is a good thing, NAFTA. Well, Ross Perot was exactly right. There was a great sucking sound. Jobs and manufacturing moved out of the U.S. into Canada and Mexico. And they're moving out mostly to China. And they're going to move out to India and Brazil and other third world countries, Malaysia, Philippines, et cetera, et cetera. So the plan is to move manufacturing into these third world nations, and Africa is going to be on the plan down the road. And you take these useless eaters and you put them in factories. Now they're earning a good living, and now they become consumers. So the globalist plan is to increase the number of consumers. And if you can't do that, yeah, you can kill them off. But realistically, if there was a mass die-off of people via some epidemic or something like that, people would be scratching their head. So that's not the ideal scene. The ideal scene, and I'll show you here in a minute, is to get people to die off naturally to reduce for the population the average lifespan, which is happening. So the average lifespan now is going down instead of going up. It's been going up for decades, the average lifespan. And now it's peaking, and in many countries it's declining, the average lifespan. But that's going to take generations before it reduces the population on planet Earth, many generations. So the bigger plan is to increase the number of consumers. Again, sounds good, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you how they're going to do this. How they're going to eliminate wars, eliminate starvation, eliminate hunger, eliminate poverty, have these three classes of people. Here is the dark side of the plan. And one of the reasons why I left the Brotherhood. The dark side of the plan is, number one, The globalists say, and by the way, I am not saying this. I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it. I'm just giving you the facts. The globalists say that one of the reasons we have wars is because people have prejudice against one another. If you don't look like me, if you have a different color skin or your eyes look different, then I'm going to be prejudiced against you. This is racial prejudice. And we know this. And racial prejudice has gone on from the beginning of time. Go back and read the Bible in the Old Testament. There was racial prejudice. In America, the Native Americans, the Indian tribes, the Cherokee, the Arapaho, the Sioux, that wasn't even their real names. That was the names given to them by the tribes that they lived around that hated them. The racism amongst the American Indians was off the charts. Just look at the history. One tribe thought that they were human and all the other tribes were subhuman based on race. So racism has been around forever. The most easy one to see is the color issue. So if you have a different color skin than me, then I'm prejudiced against you. Or if your eyes look different, or if you look different, I'm prejudiced against you. So this prejudice causes what throughout history? Wars, conflict. How do we solve that, the globalists say? Very simple. Let's do a whole bunch of little things so that people start illegally immigrating, call them migrants today, but illegally immigrating to other countries. We will integrate all the different races. They will intermarry, produce children of multi-race, and over a period of time, it's almost going to be hard to figure out what race you are. Think about that. Now, Tiger Woods, for example, the great golfer, everybody always says he's a black golfer. He's a black golfer. They always say he's black, he's black, he's black. He's a black golfer. He's 50% Thai. How come no one ever says he's a Thai golfer? He's 50% Thai. Think about it. So, and then his wife was Norwegian, I think, or Swedish. And so they have a child. So the child has Swedish blood, black or African, and Thai, multi-race. So the globalists say this is a good thing. Let's do what we can do so that there's tons of intermarrying and therefore races are eliminated. Now we take racial prejudice out of the equation. A happier world. What? Doesn't sound too bad. With that same method, religions will be eliminated. By the way, if we look throughout history, what's one of the other reasons for wars? Religions. It was either races fighting each other, or read the Mahabharata from India, the Ramayana. All the wars were based on race. Throughout all the Native American Indian wars were based on race. All throughout the world, race or religion. Remember the Crusades? The wonderful Christians came in and started killing anybody who wasn't a Christian. And then the Muslims would do the same thing, kill anybody who's not a Muslim. And the Jews would kill anybody who's not a Jew. And the Arabs would kill anybody who's not an Arab. So if you didn't follow their religion, you're being killed. So let's eliminate religions. And it's working. The number of people in America, for example, and this varies from country to country, the number of people that claim that they actually adhere to a particular religion has been going down year after year after year after year after year. More people now say they're spiritual instead of saying, I'm an Episcopalian. I'm a Baptist. I'm a member of the Assemblies of God. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Lutheran. All those memberships in those religions are going down. And the globalists think this is a very good thing, especially if we get to intermarry, which is being promoted all over TV. Every ad you see is a interracial couple. So let's promote this. Let's encourage people. That way, no race, and then multi-religions will start marrying, and then there'll be this blending of religion, a greater understanding. Religion. It's the third reason for wars. Land. That's called nations, or countries, or states. Wars are about gaining land. It's about one country or one nationality, which is different than race, one nationality against another nationality. Wars all over the world for thousands of years based on nationality, based on the boundary of your country. If we eliminate nationalities, if we eliminate borders, there's nothing to fight about. No countries. What else? Well, we have this silly thing going on in the last couple hundred years called democracy, where people actually vote for their leaders. You know, it's never been that way. Kings, queens, royalty ruled countries. Dictators ruled countries. There was no election. It was by force or by bloodline, and that's how you ruled. So now they have these silly thing called elections, and someone says, oh, the elections are a good thing. America, democracy. Hey, come on, man. Wake up. When America started, it was a bunch of white guys who were super rich, who were the richest guys in America. They were traitors to the king because they wanted to increase their wealth. They were the biggest landowners. And they didn't set this America up as a democracy. It was called a republic. It was never called a democracy. It was called a republic. But Kevin, people could vote for their leaders. They could vote. The only people that could vote in America under the wonderful founding fathers, the patriots, the wonderful geniuses. Well, if you think they're geniuses, how come we're not doing what they told us to do? In America, the only people that could vote were landowners. I love it. And the only people that could own land legally was you had to be white and you had to be a man. Now, that's a good deal. So rich white men voted, and that was it. If you were a different race, no. If you were a woman, no chance. If you were black, forget about it. If you're a Native American, no, you're not voting. And the reason was they said all those other people are too stupid, they'll vote for the wrong person. We're going to vote for ourselves and make sure that rich white men are running the deal, the privileged elite. Well, then that changed, didn't it? In America, you had the women's suffrage movement so that women could vote, and that pissed a lot of guys off. How can women vote? They never even go to school. They can't read and write. They can sew and cook and bear children. They can clean the house, but they can't read, they're not smart enough to vote. So what do? So this is when the shadow governments took over. These are the non-elected officials. And the privileged elite said, look, we'll just let every stupid person out there think that they're actually voting for their leaders. And we'll simply control the leaders. So they'll all be puppets on a string. And how do you control the leaders, by the way? Remember, there's an old saying. It's not what you know, but who you know. But the bigger one is, it's not really what you know or who you know. It's what you know about who you know. So the way all of the politicians and everybody is controlled, the number one way, and there are several others, I'm not going to use the word mind control, but there are several others, but one very strong way is to have the dirt on the people that seem to be running the show. And therefore the privileged elite control all the people that are, quote, running the show. They're not running the show. They're puppets on a string. Think about that. Now, in Europe, we see this very clearly. You have independent countries that are part of the European Union. But then you get this European Union group with a president. Who votes for them? These are unelected elitists that make all the rules. And when they make a rule, this is why England said, we want Brexit, we want out. They got this little unelected group of people telling us the temperature that we're allowed to boil water to make our tea. So the plan is to have unelected global elitists who are smarter than anybody else basically make all the rules behind the scene. Next, in order to control the population so that we can get the objectives we want, let's go toward a one world digital currency with no cash, a cashless society. Now, if we talked about this 50 years ago, people would just laugh hysterically. Kevin, what are you talking about? No cash. What are you, insane? You're a conspiracy theorist. I remember I walked through the Atlanta airport and I had cash in my pocket. I just got released. So I was leaving federal prison camp Montgomery and I had some cash in my pocket that they gave me, and I had to go to the halfway house in Chicago. And I had a layover in the Atlanta airport. I didn't have a credit card. I just got out of federal prison camp, but I had cash. And I walked into the airport, and there's not one place, not one in the entire Atlantic airport that accepts cash. Credit card, debit card only. Think about that. Think about that. So the globalist plan is to eliminate currency, which is happening all around the world. I remember when I was in Switzerland, I could go to an ATM machine. I could withdraw $50,000 in $1,000 notes. Well, 50,000 Swiss francs in 1,000 Swiss francs notes. And when I walked into someplace and I wanted to buy a bottle of champagne or some fancy cigars or something, I could whip out a thousand Swiss franc note, hand it to the waitress, and she didn't even blink an eye. Now, I haven't been back, but I heard that in Switzerland, those are illegal now. And you can only carry so much cash, otherwise it can be confiscated. And this is happening all around the world. These laws are under the radar. So a one world digital currency, this way the governments or the powers that be can control every transaction. No bartering. This is a scary situation. But it's also a good situation. Think of all the drug deals that can't happen if there's no cash. Think about this. That's their plan. Next part of their plan is, and I talked about this a few episodes ago, lower the testosterone levels in men, making men more docile. They'll be fatter. They'll have less drive. They'll be less motivated. And they'll be easier to control. And there's a whole host of ways that that's happening. Next, there's a whole series of steps being taken to keep you into a mental fog. And that includes drug use, both recreational drugs. Let's promote recreational drugs. It keeps you in a mental fog. Let's promote pharmaceutical drug use. It puts you in a mental fog. Let's put fluoride in the water. It puts you in a mental fog. Let's put certain food additives in the food. It puts you in a mental fog. There's a whole host of things. Keep you much more susceptible to suggestion, so you're easier to manipulate and control. And by doing this, it also limits your ability to tap into the ether and access higher realms so that you can communicate and have knowingness. Next, let's do things such as all of the above that not only keeps you in a mental fog, but also makes the populace tired physically. People today are more tired than ever before. They're like, oh, I'm so tired. I worked all day. Worked all day? You weren't digging ditches all day. You weren't working on the railroad all day. You went to an office and you come home, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Are you kidding me? My dad used to wake up, used to go to Building 30 at the General Electric, where they built jet engines in Lynn, Massachusetts. He was a union worker. He was a welder. And he used to get there with his dirty clothes, go to work hard. I mean, picking up, I know, because I physically went there. He says, I'm going to take you here to help motivate you to get an education and not do manual labor like me. And I watched this son of a gun lifting steel, moving stuff, banging this, doing physical labor all day long. Oh, you go to your exercise class for 45 minutes. Oh, you're real tough. You try to work in Building 30 for a day, you couldn't handle it. But you go to the gym every morning for an hour. It's nothing. This is what men and women used to do. They used to work hard, physical labor. And then he'd come home, sit down, have a nice meal, and then go bowling. He wasn't tired. They have a nice meal, and then him and my mom, it's bowling night. And then the next night is bridge night. Then the next night, it's the gun club night. I got a tournament. I didn't see him till 11 o'clock. And he wakes up at 6 to go to work at 7. 5 days a week. They weren't tired. But the globalists want the populace to be tired. This makes you more susceptible to suggestion and makes you less likely to resist or rebel. Next, they want to dumb you down. I talked about this back in 1991. I said that in America, and this is all over the world, America took phonics out of the school system and replaced it with the look-see method to read, which means nobody could read anything. They want to keep you dumb, reduce your IQ, keep you uneducated, feed you what information that they want to feed you. Look, you go to Google News, you go to Apple News, you go to any of the news feeds. Think of the stupid headline stories that they're feeding you. This is the world news? So let's dumb you down. Let's keep you uneducated. Let's make sure you don't have a good vocabulary. And for those of you who are going through the Science of Personal Mastery course, you know the importance of activating and illuminating words, because words are power. You speak things into existence if the words you use are activated. And this goes back thousands and thousands of years to India, where each letter and each sound was imbued with a vibration and frequency. There's a whole science behind the power of words. So this is how the globalists want to control you, so that the majority will fall into that slave group. Yeah, your standard of living will be better, but there'll be a lot of people whose standard of living will go down. So the idea is to take the third world countries and increase their standard of living, take the first world countries, Germany, France, most of European Union, England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United States, reduce the person's standard of living and quality of life, increase this, and so you have now a group that's lower overall, but overall better off, but so dumb and so susceptible to suggestion, where the information is so censored, you can be controlled 100%. And then those who want to make more, have more, do more, they can, but that's a very small group. And then the elitists, which run the whole show. That's the globalist plan. Now, I'm going to talk about one specific area of that in a moment, which is food. Part of the globalist plan to dumb you down, to make you mentally slow, to put you in a trance, to keep you physically tired, and to get you sicker and sicker and sicker so that the lifespan goes down, is with the food. So in a moment, I'm going to talk about the 10 foods you should never eat. So you may want to write that down. And I'm going to talk more about this globalist plan, and I'll be taking some phone calls and so forth. Hold on, I'm going to change this. Before I talk about the 10 foods you should never eat, I want to talk about my movie recommendations. By the way, people have watched some of the movies that I recommend: An Affair to Remember, Pillow Talk, etc., 12 Angry Men, some of the other ones I recommended. Matter of fact, we should put a list. Make sure we have a list of all my recommendations, and we'll post it someplace. So we have that, so people can see all my recommendations if they haven't watched all the other shows. So I got 2 recommendations for you this week. One family movie. Anybody can watch it. It's effectively a G-rated movie. There's no cursing. There's no swearing. There's no sex. There's no nudity. There's no violence. Nothing. It is a wonderful movie. And there are many, many powerful manifesting lessons in this movie. And if you just pay attention, you'll see them. They're plain as day. It's called The Sound of Music. The Original Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. It is a wonderful movie, loosely based on the true story of the Von Trapp family of singers. In Austria, in 1935, in the 1930s, before World War II, but while the Nazis, when they went in and took over Austria, right before the Second World War, maybe right when the war started, right around that, in the 30s up into 1939. That's the time period. And it's based on a true story. Now, certainly it's dramatized, but it's based on a true story. And if you've not seen the movie, I highly recommend you do. It's got lovely music in it. It's called The Sound of Music. It is a lovely story. It's based on a true story, and there are secrets in there of manifesting. And if you watch with an open mind as to what are the lessons in this as well, you will see how when one door closes, another door opens. And what you think you really, really want, Julie Andrews, I want this. That really wasn't what she really wanted. And the universe gave her what was perfect for her. It's a spectacular movie. Highly recommend it. The next movie, and by the way, I'm getting great reviews. And if any of you have watched my movie recommendations, make sure you leave a comment about that. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button and leave comments. That way our algorithm goes up, more people will watch the show. The next movie, it's not a classic, but I guess I'm dating myself because it is kind of an older movie. But I'll do a little test right here with my younger crew to see if they know anything. You guys ever hear of the movie 10 with Bo Derek and Dudley Moore? Okay, good. This was such a classic movie. Do you know who Bo Derek is? Oh my God. Okay. So Bo Derek was listed as the most beautiful woman in the world. So now William wants to watch the movie. She's like, I want to see it. Can't wait. So Bo Derek was listed as the most beautiful woman in the world. Dudley Moore, you don't know who Dudley Moore is, right? Of course not. Dudley Moore is this hilarious comedic actor. He was in Arthur and a bunch of other movies. And I'm mentioning movies none of you probably even heard of. It is a funny movie. And Julie Andrews is also in this movie as well. She was in Sound of Music, and she's also in this movie. It is a comedy. I have to warn you, there is nudity. There is frontal nudity. You will see naked women's breasts on this in a short period. Now William definitely wants to see it. And when I was younger and watched this was a great movie for me to watch. I tell you, I was very excited about it. So there is some nudity, just so you know. There is some nudity. There is a little bit of profanity. Not much, but a little bit, tiny bit. But there's no sex scenes. Actually, there's nothing that's over the top, but there is one little scene there where they do have some frontal nudity, and we'll call it adult themes. So I would say it's not a kid's movie, but it is a funny movie. And you'll get a chuckle out of the movie. And the reason why I'm recommending the movie is, again, there is a lesson in this movie. It's about a man who's obsessed, okay? And he does irrational things. And if you watch the movie, you can maybe see a little of yourself in this person. And maybe you'll have an epiphany or an aha moment, in addition to chuckling and having some laughs. So I strongly recommend that. All right, so now my book recommendation. I don't have book critic here. I got movie critic. I need book critic. All right, so now my book recommendation of the week. It is a classic book, but it surprises me how many people don't know about this book today and how many have not read this book. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is the classic edition. It's a beautiful edition. There are many, many editions to this book. This book was written in the 30s. And if you don't know the story, just briefly, Napoleon Hill, at the turn of the century, was introduced to the richest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie came from nothing, from Scotland, and became the richest man in the world. He sold Carnegie Steel to an investor group, including J.P. Morgan, for, in today's dollars, it would be somewhere around $450 billion in cash. $450 billion in cash. Not stocks, not bonds, not real estate. Andrew Carnegie was given in today's money, $450 billion in cash. And he built almost all the libraries in the United States. He gave most of the money away. Nobody, and the only person who became richer after that was John D. Rockefeller. He had a net worth of around $650 billion. $650 billion. About half of that was in cash. So in terms of having cash, nobody had that much cash. Now the Saudis and so forth today are close to that. But Jeff Bezos with Amazon and Elon Musk, these are multi-billionaires. They're worth $150 billion, but it's all in stock. It's not cash. And if they tried to sell the stock, it'd go down to $70 billion. It's still a lot of money. But it's still worth close to $450 billion. So Napoleon Hill was given access to Andrew Carnegie, $450 billion, wealthiest guy at the time in the history of the world. And Andrew told him the secret or secrets, the formula, the success formula that never fails. But Carnegie introduced Napoleon Hill to Henry Ford and to all these other wealthy people, over 100. And Napoleon Hill interviewed them all and watched them live their daily life. And he put together the secrets to success. And he found that these people all had one thing in common, and only one thing. It's the way they thought. So that's why he calls the book Think and Grow Rich. It's all about how you can manifest things with your mind. The chapters here include auto-suggestion. Did you ever hear of auto-suggestion before? That word auto-suggestion? Auto-suggestion, another way of saying is self-hypnosis. He found that all wealthy people program themselves for success. And he gives the specific technique of auto-suggestion. He talks about organized planning and the power of the mastermind. And there's a whole chapter on the mystery of sex transmutation, another chapter on the subconscious mind, the sixth sense, how to tap into the ether. All the wealthy people believed in the sixth sense and tapping into the universal field of knowledge. Yes. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you do. Many people have used the technique in here because there are specific techniques to achieve success. Bruce Lee is probably the most notable because there's And I showed people here in the office the actual letter that Bruce Lee wrote in his own handwriting using this technique that's in this book specifically. And after he wrote this down, he was washing dishes in San Francisco. And Bruce Lee, as you know, is one of the greatest martial artists of all time. Chinese, highly prejudiced against in Hollywood and in America because he was Chinese. There was a lot of prejudice against the Chinese. So he had massive racism focused against him, prejudice focused against him. But he used this technique to go from washing dishes to becoming the biggest star in Asia, martial arts star, the biggest martial arts star globally anywhere in the world, and then a Hollywood star as well. And he also starred in the Green Hornet TV series. Arnold Schwarzenegger used the techniques. He talks about them. Sly Stallone, Sylvester Stallone. So many Hollywood people say they used the techniques in this book, and so many successful business people around the world said that this is the book, or the techniques that are described in this book, are what they utilize to achieve success. I highly endorse this book and recommend it. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Consider that. Okay, so now let's go to the 10 foods we should never eat. And I hopefully I have some time for some questions. But I promise this. All right, we're making a promise. Next week, I am going to take almost the entire show. I'll be taking phone calls. How's that? Okay, because I got to get these 10 things. It's a promise I would do this. This goes in the Kevin Was Right file. It says, and by the way, when I'm giving you headlines that you can't find, but this should be on the front page. From anxiety to cancer, the evidence is now overwhelming against ultra-processed food. So here's a whole article, British Medical Journal, all the research done showing the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, very famous, highly respected, the Food and Drug Administration of the United States, on and on and on and on and on. Talks about how processed food, and what that means, what's the definition of processed food? It's effectively, I'll give you the definition, food that has food additives in it. It's the food additives. And when food is processed, milk, for example, comes out of the cow. We used to have a milkman. The milk used to be milked in the morning, put in a glass bottle. A milkman would then deliver it to your house. And he would deliver fresh milk to your house every 2 days because the milk went rancid in 2 days. It was raw, not pasteurized, and not homogenized. No problem. But now processed milk is pasteurized, which means it's heated to 180 degrees for 30 minutes to kill all the bacteria. Sounds good, but it kills all the good living enzymes as well. So now you can't digest it. Then they homogenize it. Homogenize it means they spin it down so that the molecules of the milk break down and become what's called zeolite oxidate. Because they're already broken down, the cream doesn't separate from the milk anymore. So it's homogenized, and the molecules are already broken down. Therefore, it won't go rancid. You can have milk and it can last for 2 or 3 weeks. It sounds good. No more milkman. The problem is they just processed milk and they made it a poison. And now the research is Kevin Was Right file. So I'll be talking about that. The next one. How come this isn't on the front page? How come this isn't discussed on the evening news? Instead, they're going to talk about man gets attacked by alligator in Florida. A man going out to swim in his pool was attacked by a 6-foot alligator. He fought off the mighty beast with a stick. That's, the BBC, that's their headline story tonight of global news. Okay, this should be the headline story. Americans now have a 40% chance of getting cancer. Highest in the history of keeping statistics. Oh, the American Cancer Society. Let's do this to prevent cancer. Let's do this. Let's put all this money in. How many trillions of dollars are put in? Hey, Barack Obama. I mean, this guy was great. Matter of fact, Joe, right, put this down. You need to find this clip. It was Barack Obama. I want to show this. Barack Obama, who was the president of the United States that everybody loved for some reason. Barack Obama, and by the way, he did break a barrier there. He was first black, and I believe, does he have any other blood? I mean, he could be 80% Asian, but because he's dark-skinned, he'll be called black. I think he's 100%. No, I think his mother's white. I don't know. But anyway, he certainly has African blood in him. And God bless him. He overcame decades of racism and prejudice, and he won the presidency. And seriously, 100% congratulations for that. But Barack Obama gave the State of the Union address. This is great. Joe Biden is sitting behind him, falling asleep. He was old then. So Joe Biden, who was the vice president, is sitting behind him. You can see him right here. And President Obama says, this is the State of the Union. Things are going well here in America. I, Barack Obama, have done this and this and this, and we're doing that and this and this. And tonight, I am to announce that Joe Biden is now given the task of curing cancer. He will find the cure of cancer before I leave office. And Joe's back there, he's falling asleep. They kind of hit him. He goes, what? I'm going to cure cancer in the next 2.5 years? I mean, he was like, huh? I didn't remember, huh? So Joe Biden, Barack Obama said it. He was going to cure cancer in a couple of years. I want to find that clip. That was the most outrageous thing I ever heard. But 40% of Americans, this varies from country to country. I don't know the data. I believe that America has that. If you are an American living in America, you have the highest chance of getting cancer than in any country in the world. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's another country that's as bad. There could be. But I do know that there are countries where you have a 2% chance of getting cancer. What is the difference? It's not the genes. Because when those people are going to live in a country where you have a 5% chance of getting cancer, when they come to America, all of a sudden they have a 40% chance of getting cancer. What is the difference? Ladies and germs. I'm ladies and gentlemen. You don't know where that joke came from. That's an old Henny Youngman joke. Good evening, ladies and germs. Or Milton Berle, one of those old guys. Okay, you have a 40% chance of getting cancer. I said this was going to happen. I said it. Kevin was right file. And we're keeping this file. I said something to the Federal Trade Commission, and they said, that's a lie. Show us the documentation. I said, I got the file right here. Here's where the New York Times called me a marketing genius, America's marketing guru, the infomercial king. They were like, oh, okay. We thought you just made it up. Kevin was right file. All right, so 10 foods you should never eat. All right, so buckle up, write these down. And I could be taken off the air and I could be put in prison for doing this. Because the Federal Trade Commission, the United States Federal Trade Commission, said that I can only say things that are the truth. Oh. And who determines if what I say is true? We do, they said. I said, but a lot of this is opinion. No, we have fact checkers. Okay. So when I said that talcum powder causes cancer, all of your fact checkers said that that was a lie when I said that 12 years ago. Now, we know it's true. Now it's actually been proven to be true. Guess what? It was proven to be true then. I gave you the documentation and the substantiation. Just like the ingredients in sunscreen can cause skin cancer. They may be banging down the door right now to arrest me because they're watching the show. All right. So 10 foods you should never eat. If you stay away from these few foods, all right, never eat 10 foods you should reduce the amount you eat. Isn't that better? It's not all or nothing. At least reduce. It's number one. Corn. Well, the American Corn Association is going to sue me. I know. It's right away. Corn. Stay away from corn. Why? Because almost all corn, specifically in America and Canada, but also around the world, almost all corn is now produced from Monsanto seed, which has been genetically modified and or is a hybrid corn, which means it's man-made, which means it's been processed. The corn was specifically developed by Monsanto to be fed to cows to make them put on fat very quickly and grow very fast. So if you're interested in keeping trim, if you think, I put on weight easily, corn is getting you fat because you're nothing but a piece of cattle. And the more corn you eat, just like the more corn a cow eats, the fatter you get and the faster you get fat. That's what the corn was specifically manufactured to do. It's not real heirloom, original, as nature intended corn. Monsanto corn, which is almost all the corn you can find, is making you fat. It's putting massive amount of fat on you. It's making you get bigger. It's putting on massive amounts of weight. Plus, it causes allergic reactions to all types of varying degrees. So anything that has the word corn in it, corn syrup solids, high fructose corn syrup, corn starch, corn meal, corn flour. It's not hard. You look at the ingredients. If it has the word corn in there, stay away from it unless you like being a fat pig. Then eat more. Corn flakes, corn puffs. Okay, number 2, artificial sweeteners. The two main ones are aspartame, which is called NutraSweet, and sucralose. Where are artificial sweeteners? Well, number 1, you find them in diet sodas. Why should you even avoid it? These fall into a category called excitotoxins. This is the best part. The number 1 reason people consume food with artificial sweeteners is because you've been lied to and manipulated and brainwashed. Here's what you think. I'm not going to say you're stupid because you've just been fed bad information and you stupidly believe it. So here's why people say, well, I want a Diet Coke or a Diet Pepsi. No calories. I'm trying to lose weight. Here's what studies have shown. And I've been talking about this for 25 years. Kevin was right, file. You take 2 people. One person drinks regular Coca-Cola with sugar in it as the sweetener, not the high fructose corn syrup. A Coca-Cola with sugar, which comes from the sugar cane. Another person drinks Coca-Cola with no sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, but an artificial sweetener like aspartame. This person who's drinking the diet is consuming a lot less calories a day. This person is drinking more calories. Guess what happens after 30 days? The person drinking the diet soda gains weight. So the first thing The first reason you want to avoid artificial sweeteners is it makes you gain weight. And the reason you're consuming it is you think it's no calories and you think it's good for weight loss. It isn't. It does the exact opposite. Number two, it's chemically addictive. This actually was on the front page, I think, of Time magazine. It was on the cover. It was called the new crack, because researchers have determined that artificial sweeteners are so ridiculously, incredibly addictive. They couldn't believe how addictive it was because it affects the neurotransmitter activity and the serotonin levels in your brain. What does this mean? This means artificial sweeteners like sucralose and aspartame make you anxious, stressed, and depressed. So, why would you want to consume it? Clearly, artificial sweeteners are in diet sodas, but they're in diet anything. And if you see the words, no sugar, time out. It's a marketing ploy. They want to convince you that it has less calories and it has some type of artificial sweetener. The two main ones. Now, there's another one called saccharin, which isn't around very often. And quite frankly, that isn't as bad, but it's still bad. But aspartame and sucralose, stay away. Where else do you find them? Here's the best part. I mean, this is the scary thing. And this is why I started the world's best nutritionals and organics company, because every company out there selling nutritional products, food supplements, food bars, nutritional bars, protein shakes, nutritional shakes. You see all these people, they're all healthy and they're drinking this green powder in a glass jar and they're going, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so healthy. It's got vitamins and minerals and it's got all this stuff. Yeah, and it's got sucralose in it, an artificial sweetener, which is making you depressed and fat and causing cancer. And these people know it, but they don't care. They just want to sell you the product. And they know that if you drink this, it's going to be tasting like you're eating grass. Here, would you like some grass? Come on over to my house. I'm going to give you some juice from my grass. I mowed the lawn and I turned it into juice, but it's got chlorophyll in it. It's very good for you. It's very alkalizing. Here, I know it smells like grass because it is grass, and it tastes like grass because it's grass, but it's good for you. Who's going to drink it? So I got to put something in there so that you don't throw up. So I put sucralose because I don't want to put sugar or high fructose corn syrup because then the calories go up. And from a marketing standpoint, they know that people look at the nutrition part of the label for the calories. So they put in stupid things like sucralose and aspartame. You look at your food bar, you look at your protein bar, you look at your protein shake, look for the sucralose, high fructose corn syrup, or aspartame. It's everywhere. Stay away. Number 3. All right, so number 3 is something that you all eat. People eat it all over the world. It's pork. And it's funny because I was having breakfast with Danielle a couple weeks ago. We're at this breakfast place, and there was these two guys over here. They were having a conversation, very intellectual conversation, and I was pretty fascinated with what they were saying. So I took my phone, then I started the recording, and they actually started talking about pork. Joe, let's play this. So this is the conversation of these two guys that I overheard talking about pork. Let's play this clip.
Pig sleep and root and shit. That's a filthy animal. I ain't eating nothing. I got
so it's not from the beginning. That's in the middle.
How about a dog? Dog eats his own feces. I don't eat dog either.
We got this clip here. And
do you consider a dog to be a filthy animal?
Not the beginning.
I wouldn't go so far as to call a dog filthy, but they're definitely dirty.
That's not the start. The middle of the conversation. All right, we'll get the. Give me the thumbs up when you have this teed up. But let me talk about it. So pork is something you should avoid. Why? A pig will eat anything in its path, including a dead rat. Scientists now know that whatever the pig eats turns to meat on its bones. So if you eat the meat of a pig, you're going to put your body in virtual toxic shock. All right, so you get this teed up now? All right, so let's play this clip.
Want some bacon? No, man, I don't eat pork. Are you Jewish? No, I ain't Jewish. I just don't dig on swine, that's all. Why not? Pigs are filthy animals. I don't eat filthy animals. Yeah, but bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good. Hey, sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfuckers. Pigs sleep and root and shit. That's a filthy animal. I ain't eat nothing that ain't got sense enough to disregard its own feces. How about a dog? Dog eats his own feces. I don't eat dog either. Yeah, but do you consider a dog to be a filthy animal? I wouldn't go so far as to call a dog filthy, but they're definitely dirty. But dogs got personality. Personality goes a long way. So by that rationale, if a pig had a better personality, he'd cease to be a filthy animal. Is that true? Well, we have to be talking about one charming motherfucking pig. I mean, he has to be 10 times more charming than that Arnold on Green Acres. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That was not a real conversation that I overheard. That's from Pulp Fiction, and that was Samuel Jackson, and of course Vincent, played by John Travolta. But pork, stay away from. A pig eats its own feces. A pig eats anything in its path, even an organic pig. The meat takes 48 hours to be digested. So when you eat pork, the body goes into toxic shock. Most pig has trichinosis in it and other types of viruses, which cause the body's immune system, your immune system, to just overwork. It takes blood away from the brain. It has a very low vibration, lowering the body vibration. So ideally, stay away from pork. And if you can stay away from pork, you will just notice that your energy levels over about 3 or 4 months of no pork consumption, that your energy levels will start going up, your mental clarity will go up. Big advantage. Now, I am not a fanatic. So, for example, I shy away from pork. And by the way, I'm Italian. I grew up on pork. Pork chops, bacon, pork sausages. We had pork all the time. Roast pork. I didn't die. No one's going to die. But I decided at one point to stay away from pork, and I wanted to monitor how I felt. So after about 3 months of no pork, I thought to myself, I really don't notice a big difference. So I went to a restaurant and I ordered, that was known for their pork chops, and I ordered the pork chops. Number one, I didn't find that they tasted appealing to me anymore. It was like, wow, I used to love pork and it just doesn't appeal to me. I couldn't even eat the whole thing. And then I felt so sluggish afterwards. That's when I noticed the big difference. So you might want to stay away from pork as best you can. But again, I'm not a fanatic. I was in Rotterdam, Germany, south of Munich, and I met the owner of the hotel I was staying at, and he invited me to dinner at his house. So I went there, and he said, my wife drove to Nuremberg to get some very special Nuremberg sausages. They're only available in Nuremberg. They're very special. Well, it's a 2-hour drive each way. So she spent 4 hours in a car just to get sausages for me, which are 100% pork. I'm not going to say, well, thanks, but I don't eat pork. I'm a dick. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, fine. And so I ate the pork sausages. They, quite frankly, were delicious. And, I didn't notice a big difference afterwards. But the bottom line is, pork, you can't put it in the health food category. But I also know people that are 95 years old that eat pork all the time. This is one of the things that if you reduce from your diet or eliminate all the blood work, all the hormone levels, it's going to show it is healthy, and it is going to increase not only your lifespan, the number of years you have in your life, but the amount of life you have in your years. Your energy levels could go up, your skin could look improved, but also your ability to communicate into the ether, that sixth sense. Pork will reduce it. This is why all gurus or spiritual gurus stay away from pork 100%, and many of them stay away from meat as well, because it will reduce, because they're lower frequency foods. Next, shellfish. Oh boy. I grew up on shellfish. I grew up in Boston. Every Friday, because it was a big Catholic area, so on the Catholics back then, you couldn't eat meat on Friday. So Friday, everybody went out for fried fish. So we got the fisherman's platter, which was fried cod or haddock, fried scallops, fried shrimp, fried clams, sometimes fried mussels. And then, of course, crab. Oh, lobster. Oh. Why shy away from shellfish? Here's why. More people get sick from eating, quote, bad shellfish than any other food group on the planet. More people every year die from eating bad shellfish than any other food group on the planet. More people are allergic to shellfish or have allergic reactions that are quantifiable and they can see it. More people are allergic to shellfish than any other food group on the planet. Shellfish, and let me define shellfish. It's not just fish that comes in a shell, like a clam or a mussel or a crab or a lobster or a scallop. But it's really any fish in water that does not have scales and fins. That's the rule. Stay away from or avoid anything that comes out of water that doesn't have scales and fins. Why? So a catfish has fins but no scales. You would stay away from that. Squid, octopus. They're not shellfish, but you stay away. No scales, no fins. Why? Anything that doesn't have scales and fins, shellfish, and the other items I mentioned, squid, octopus, catfish, and so on, they're filters. They absorb whatever toxin is in the water, and they keep the toxins in their flesh that you are eating. This is why when I grew up in Boston, we had sometimes the red tide. The red tide would come in, which are these red microorganisms like an algae, and they're poisonous. You couldn't swim. You couldn't go out and swim in the ocean. If there was a red tide, you'd get sick. But you also couldn't eat the shellfish that came out of Boston Harbor or the area because those shellfish absorbed the toxin in the water and you would get sick or potentially die from eating anything that came out of the water when there was a red tide. But you could eat the haddock, the mackerel, the cod, and the flounder because they had scales and fins. So those fish you could eat. They would filter out the toxins and the flesh was pure. So if you stay away from shellfish, it's just like pork. I'll tell you a funny story. Mike Siegel, he's the 10-time world champion pool player, winningest player of all time. We were on the road together, traveling around, having some fun. And we were going from city to city to city, and Mike loves to go out dining. And of course, we're staying in motels. We're going to go out to restaurants. And we like to go out and have a nice meal. So in this one particular city, we stop, and they have mussels on the menu. Mike says, I love mussels. Anytime mussels are on the menu, I'm ordering them. So he orders the mussels. The next day, he's sick. A couple days later, we stop at another restaurant. Mussels are on the menu again. We're in another city. He orders the mussels. The next day, he's sick. A few days later, we're in another city, another different restaurant. Mussels are on the menu. He orders them. Next day, he's sick. I go, Mike, do you realize that every time you order mussels, the next day you're sick? He goes, really? I'm going to order them tonight and see what happens tomorrow. So he orders them. Next day, he's sick. He goes, okay. Next day, that night he doesn't order mussels. Next day, he's perfectly fine. He orders mussels. Next day, he's sick. Doesn't order mussels. Next day, he's perfectly fine. And he goes, you know something? You're right. These mussels, I must be allergic to them or something. They're making me sick. I go, yeah. So what are you going to do? He goes, oh, I'm still going to eat them. He goes, I love them. He goes, but anytime I eat them, I just know that the next day I'm going to be sick. So stay away from shellfish. If you stay away from shellfish and anything that comes out of water that doesn't have scales and fins, by the way, this is also the law of kashrah or the kosher laws. Pork and shellfish fall into that kosher law category. The kosher law says you can eat anything that's on the ground as long as it has a split hoof and chews the cud, which is why you don't eat pork. But you should also not eat anything that doesn't have a split hoof and chew the cud, like a bear, or because it has a paw. So if you stay away from anything that doesn't have a split hoof and chew the cud, such as a pig, and it says you can only eat something that comes out of water, whether it's a lake, a river, stream, or ocean, that has fins and scales, you're going to be better off. Okay, next, number 5. Stay away from hydrogenated oil. They're called trans fats. Just look on the label. It says hydrogenated oil. You like peanut butter, Americans? Of course, people who are watching from around the world can't figure out why anybody would like that disgusting thing called peanut butter. So I know you. You're in Germany, you're in Iran, you're in Albania, you're someplace in the world, and you're scratching your head and laughing, going, why is it that Americans like peanut butter? It's disgusting. Okay. So maybe I'm only talking to Americans here because you love your peanut butter. Look at the peanut butter. Number one, it probably has high fructose corn syrup in it. Number two, it has hydrogenated oil. Hydrogenated oils are terrible. They are trans fats. They will scar the inside of your artery, causing whatever cholesterol's in your artery to attach itself to the inside of the artery wall. Going to lead to a heart attack, but it also messes up all your hormones, and it can make you depressed. It increases your appetite. Oh, by the way, remember those artificial sweeteners I mentioned? There's another side effect. It makes you hungrier. It increases your appetite as well. So hydrogenated oils cause all types of problems in the arteries and the heart. They also make you gain weight. They increase your appetite, and they mess up your hormone system. So they mess up your immune system, but they also make you depressed. So stay away from trans fats and hydrogenated oil. Next, GMOs, genetically modified organisms. When you buy something at the store, you have to find the label that says no GMOs. If it says no GMOs, then you're relatively sure that at least the majority of the ingredients have not been genetically modified. If it doesn't say no GMOs, I can guarantee you that you are consuming something with GMO in it, genetically modified organisms. I had a guy on my radio show 15 years ago, and he went on for an hour and a half talking about every symptom that happens to a person, from gastrointestinal problem, bloating, colon problems, messing up your hormones, making you hungry, making you gain weight, giving you a belly, making you store extra fat, making you spacey. All these issues, as well as cancer, high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. GMOs are bad news. Stay away from them. You will be healthy if you stay away from GMOs. Next, number 7, monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG. It falls into the same category as artificial sweeteners. It is an excitotoxin. It messes up the neurotransmitter activity. It makes you hungrier, makes you crave, it makes you very thirsty, and causes the body to store extra fluid in the fat cells, making you gain weight, get bloated, and be fat. It actually increases fat cells and makes each fat cell bigger. Stay away from MSG. Here's the problem. Depending on the country you're in, there's different laws. If you look at the label, clearly you're buying Doritos, nacho corn chips. It's going to say right on there, monosodium glutamate. Okay, throw it away. And never buy anything from that company again, because they know what this stuff does. The reason they put it in is because they're trying to get you physically addicted. That's another symptom of consuming monosodium glutamate. You get physically addicted to it. You can't stop eating it. And it actually psychologically addicts you to that product as well. Kentucky Fried Chicken, loaded with monosodium glutamate. Taco Bell, loaded with monosodium. And by the way, all the fast food restaurants, hydrogenated oil, genetically modified organisms, corn everywhere, monosodium glutamate. No wonder you're all fat, and you're depressed, and you're stressed out and anxious, and your emotions are going like this. So stay away from MSG. It's an excitotoxin. Number 8. I talked about this a few shows ago, wheat. But let me define it. If you live in Italy, if you're watching in Italy, eat the wheat. You don't want hard wheat, high gluten wheat, or wheat that's come from Canada or America because it's only been fermented for 8 hours. This is a really tough one, because how are you going to determine that? So here's something I just did yesterday. I wanted to buy some crostini, which is like a breadstick. So I went to Whole Foods and I walked in and they had crostinis. And I looked for one that said product of Italy. So I grabbed, they had 2 or 3 of them that were products of Italy. And I looked over and I said, Durham wheat, which means it's wheat from Italy because this product was manufactured in Italy and their ingredients came from Italy. I know the wheat is fine. It's been fermented for 48 hours. It's not going to have a problem. It hasn't been genetically modified. It's not hybrid wheat, and it's been fermented for 48 hours. So you want to stay away from wheat. And here's the challenge. Some of you like bread. You live in America, you live in Canada, you live in different countries. Look, this is a challenge, and I understand it. So do the best you can. But if you reduce the amount of wheat that you're consuming, period, across the board, you're going to be better off because the majority of wheat you're consuming has not been fermented for 48 hours. It's high gluten wheat. It's causing all types of gas, bloating, allergic reactions, weight gain, etc., etc. So if you can reduce the amount of wheat, if you are going to eat wheat, like for example, I like pasta. I'm Italian. All my pasta comes from Italy. I buy pasta that says organic pasta, product of Italy. Now you're fine. And when people eat my pasta at my house, they always are amazed. There's no gas, there's no bloating. They don't have food cravings. Their candida isn't kicking in because it's pasta from Italy, organic pasta from Italy. If I were to make my own pasta at home, and I used to, I haven't done it in a while, I would buy flour from Italy, and then I would use that to make my own homemade fresh pasta. But I usually buy the pasta. Breadcrumbs. What about bread? It's impossible. If you're going to buy bread, it's all made in the country you're in. So in America, it's very difficult to buy bread. So stay away from wheat as best you can. All right. Number 9, soy. It's in America and Canada for sure, but it's all over the world as well. Almost all soy now comes from Monsanto seed. It has been genetically modified, and it is causing all types of intestinal problems, plus it will reduce and lower your testosterone. If you can eliminate soy, you will be amazed. Just like corn, soy is everywhere. Soybean oil. Now, what if it says, Kevin, organic soybean oil on my salad dressing bottle? Well, first off, I wouldn't buy it because do you ever make salad dressing at your house with soybean oil? No, you use extra virgin olive oil. If you're going to make a salad dressing, you don't use safflower oil. You don't use canola oil. Use extra virgin olive oil to make a vinaigrette. So if it doesn't have extra virgin olive oil, why even buying it? But if you're buying something with organic soybean oil, you know the company is a scam company because the reason that they're putting soybean oil in there because it's so damn cheap. It's not any good for you. It's reducing the testosterone levels, and even if it's organic, depending on the country, it still could be genetically modified. So stay away from soy. Next, I'll put 2 things in the same category. Corn-fed beef and anything dairy that doesn't come from grass-fed cows. And also, I already mentioned, stay away from homogenized dairy. So let me talk about this dairy and beef category. Cows eat grass. But in the manufacture of beef, cows are fed Monsanto genetically modified corn so that they grow fat faster. And that way they can be slaughtered and taken to the market quicker, making more profits for the company. Cows don't eat grains in real life. They eat grass. When you feed corn and grains to a cow, it will get fatter faster. Stay away. Also, in the feed, the commercial feed that's put in and given to cows includes ground up dead cows, sometimes horses and other animals that were so diseased they couldn't even be put into the food chain. So they feed it to the cow. Ground up dead, diseased, sick cows that they couldn't butcher and put into the food chain. But they're ground up and fed to a cow who doesn't eat meat because the cow is a vegetarian who's supposed to only eat grass. So what do you think happens to this cow? It gets diseased as well. Those animals are also injected with bovine growth hormone and massive amounts of antibiotics. So when you eat beef, you're screwing yourself. Your testosterone's going down, you're loading your body up with residual antibiotics, you're getting diseased product, you're putting your body in toxic shock. Not a good thing. And because of the bovine growth hormone, it makes you fat faster. So when you're eating beef, oh, I'm on a high-protein diet. Shit. Oh my God, a high-protein diet. Who am I today? I'm the guru, yeah. You gotta be kidding me. You think it's gonna burn fat? No. You're eating protein and you're also injecting yourself with bovine growth hormone so you get fat faster, and you're eating Monsanto's genetically modified corn to make you fat faster. And it doesn't have very much CLA, which is the acid in the beef which increases testosterone, so your testosterone levels are going down. So, okay, eat as much beef as you want. Get 100% grass-fed beef. Organic grass-fed beef. No antibiotics, no bovine growth hormone, fed only grass. You're in good shape. And for your dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt from grass-fed cows. It's hard, but ideally not homogenized. With cheese, I consume cheese. I like cheese. My cheese is raw cheese, which means it comes from France or Switzerland most of the time. It's cheese from raw milk, so it's raw cheese. And all the cows over there are eating grass, so it's perfect. We have milk at the house. It's not homogenized. It's organic from grass-fed cows, which means the cream separates from the milk, and it only lasts a few days. So when it comes in, we have to shake it up, mix up the cream and the milk. We use it, but it only lasts a few days, so you buy a small bottle at a time. A little bit less convenient, but it's important. If you're drinking homogenized dairy in the form of cheese or milk or yogurt, your arteries are getting scarred, and it's causing your arterial sclerosis, it's messing up your hormones, and it's making you gain weight. Plus, it's messing up your intestines. Your digestive system, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation are all caused in part by homogenized dairy products or dairy products that don't come from 100% grass-fed beef. Those are my 10 clues. And by the way, I could give you an hour on each one of these with all the details. So that's our show for today. I'm looking at the time. I did not get to your phone calls. Last week, I did promise you I'd be taking a ton of phone calls. It was not a lie. I did not know I was going to go this long. But I will make a promise next week. The only thing I'm going to cover is my book recommendation and my movies, and the whole show. It's going to be your phone calls. So next week, 100% of the show, other than my book recommendation and my movie recommendation, will be taking your phone calls. So thank you for understanding for not taking your phone calls today, but so many people wanted this information and I had to give it to you. And I didn't give you everything. I just gave you a tip of the iceberg. Please subscribe to the channel. Go to KevinTrudeauFanClub.com, become a partner, help support the show, keep the show on the air. You can also go to globalinformationnetwork.com, become a member. You get a chance to meet me live and in person. And if you want to have dinner with me, I would love to meet you in person, have dinner with me. Buy just one of the money processes. Come to Chicago, get the money process delivered, and I will take you to dinner. And that email address, if you want to get more information on the money processes, is moneyprocesses@KevinTrudeau.com. Moneyprocesses@KevinTrudeau.com. Just send an email, say I want more information on the money processes. Megan will get right back to you, give you the dates and the locations. Hey, come in and spend an evening with me. Have a nice dinner. There's usually only 8 or 10 people there. We have a lovely time. Plus, you get a chance to meet some wonderful people, and including me. I'm a wonderful person. We have a wonderful meal. It's on me, and you get the money processes where you can really be helpful in your life. Thanks for watching this week's show. We will see you next week. I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about. And until next time, remember, You can do it.